Okay. I want to work on having points to talk about. And there's 3 things that I'm going to speak about from myself. Compasses, Satanism, or like dark rituals, and my car. I think I said compasses first, so I'll start with compasses. Well, actually kind of wraps into like dark rituals and all that. I'm baffled by people who don't believe in the supernatural. Like, I really am. Because, you know, we take some of the celebrities we see like nowadays. Like, we take celebrities we see nowadays, for example. When they have that much money, they have like stupid amounts of money, like nothing that is normal, right? Why do they prioritize building these like scary things like temples and everything, you know? Like, that's what they're doing. You know, they get all this $1 million. They're not buying boats. Well, they do, but that's after the fact. They're building temples, and they're building all these very, very spiritual things, you know? So if they're getting rid of books that have these kind of things, because if you think about it, in the 1800s, books had dragons. Like medical books had werewolves and dragons. Now we don't see them. But they have that much money, and they're so caught up and like fascinated by it. And you guys are out here saying that shit's like, it's not real. Like, for me, it's becoming a wealth thing. You know? They're making you think it's dumb and not to believe it. But then when they get all that money, they're doing it. You know? And people are like, oh, people believe this or believe that back then. If you forge metal in a certain direction, you can make it magnetic. Like, do you know how magical that is? Like, I really think about it sometimes, because I saw a video. Like, I'm not trying to like say doom scrolling is good, but you know, you caught me. I doom scrolled a bit, and I saw a video of this guy forging metal. And apparently, and I looked this up, if you forge metal in a certain direction, it becomes magnetic, and you can make compasses. That is insane. Think about the first person to discover that, how magical that must have felt. They probably thought they had a power, or they cracked a code, you know? So that's like super exciting, you know? But also the dark magic thing, I'm just like, when people don't believe in magic and they don't believe in like spirituality and stuff, why do you think when people get that much money, it becomes that for them? Maybe you can argue the God complex, kind of like, they have so much money and they love their life so much, or they're so wealthy and they don't want their riches to die. They try to find ways to carry it with them to the afterlife, or try to find ways to live forever. Like, I'm not sure, but I think it makes a lot more sense to gatekeep, you know, because that's kind of a common theme we see with humans, is to gatekeep, and we dictate who's worthy to receive that. And it seems that now you can't control, like there's so many. If I tried to make people only be worthy on how cool somebody is, that's subjective. Money's not, you know? Like, it's either you got it or you don't. And you can, and like, now systems are put in place where they can control who has it and who doesn't, you know? Like we are witnessing just people being kept in poverty, you know? By systems set up that some people in the same breath defend, that are being victimized by it, because they can't see the bigger picture, you know? Like, that's just something I think about a lot. Sorry, let me just... Oh yeah, right now I'm making a sauna. Beautiful lake behind me. Making my sauna. I'm about to go take a little swim later. You know? Bathe. That's how I bathe up here, is with a sauna. You know, because it just makes it really easy. Let me just... Yeah. That should... Put a couple more logs on there. Running. pretty fast. Ah, that was hot. Gotta get back there. There we go. No, thank you. Almost fell there. That would have been a face full of flames, you know? But yeah, like, we realize that like we're like seeing a mass gatekeeping of knowledge and power through financial wealth, right? You know, like through wealth, they're trying to dictate who gets educated, you know, because they realize like education is so powerful, you know? So like going back, like I believe in spirituality, I believe in all these things because like, who couldn't, you know? Like not only is it beautiful to have faith, it's like we look around us, and if all these higher ups are prioritizing spirituality and faith and doing these rituals so much, do you guys think that it's just for like giggles? Because I think there's something more to it, you know? But yeah, it scares me to even talk about it, you know, because every time I see people talk about these kind of things in videos, they like say that they're in good health, you know? They're like, before I start this video, I want to say that I'm mentally okay, I'm mentally stable, I'm great. I'm still scared of the dark, you know? But yeah, that's the first thing I wanted to kind of like get off my chest. But the other thing I wanted to get off my chest was, like, I'm still trying to like, I feel when I do bad things, I try to like, I can admit that it's bad, but I don't want it to be rooted in something toxic, because that's admitting there's a part of me that is toxic, you know? And like, what I do is not necessarily toxic, but it's rooted in something that's like up for debate, you know? And like the best way I can put it, it was actually really funny. Like yesterday, I was driving back from somewhere, and I'm driving, and like this is like it makes me laugh like looking back at it. This happened yesterday. I think it's so funny what happened, but like I'm still a bit serious about it just because of my reaction to it, you know? I was driving, and a log got wedged under my car. Like the log was on its side like this, but somehow got twisted, wedged, and went upright. So then my car was like boom, and then it went upright and lifted my car 2 front wheels up. My car's front wheel drive, because I'm pretty sure my all wheel doesn't work anymore. My rear diff is like bugging out. How on earth did it happen? Who knows? But it's funny. I get out of the car, girlfriend's dying of laughter. I think it's funny too. But there's a voice in my head, or like just like a wave of just disappointment I get in myself, because I want to be perfect, but not perfect. I want to be the guy, you know, and everyone wants to be the guy that doesn't make mistakes, the guy that gets things right, but it's not real, you know? And I think it's really rooted from just seeing my dad do everything and do it all, you know? So like, and I'm competitive. Like, I think it's healthy to want to be as good as your father, if not better, you know? You want to be a better man. And it's not from me thinking my dad's a bad guy. I think my dad's my hero. He's an incredible person. But when you have access to like a man's life knowledge, like that's powerful. Like I'm learning off of somebody who's lived an entire life and tells me all those stories that are funny and tells me all these things that have happened. So when it happens to me, it's almost like, damn, like I should have known, or like you kind of get disappointed, but you know, because you just want to be you want to be good, you know? And that hinders my reactions to things. Because in the back of my mind, the funny part of me is like, this is hilarious, but the man part of me, or the masculine part of me, I could say, I'm not saying it's healthy, is like, shit, like how can I let this happen? I'm so, like, this is unacceptable. Like, who would let this kind of thing happen? I just really wish I could just laugh about it, you know, because it's not that deep, you know? And like, I'm almost getting irritated by how much my girlfriend's laughing, because then like I'm deeping it and I'm making it personal, even though it's not, you know? So then I start kind of getting in a mood, You know, I get in this mood of I just want to solve it. I want to be the one to solve it. Even though it can be a fun team thing, you know? I don't want my competitiveness or standard of what I set for myself to hinder people's experiences of processing life around them, because that's the first time it happened to my girlfriend too, or it'll be the first time it happens to the buddy to the left of me too, you know? But I think a big part of being a good person and being a good man is to kind of create an environment around you that is positive and that encourages learning and encourages laughing about it, you know? Because that's what I want to encourage, but when it happens to me, I don't. And that really bothers me. Because to me, it's hypocritical. It really is. But it's something I do, you know? So I'm really happy I just worked through this in my head. Because like, I feel like I just want to, like, I feel like I've always had to, I have to grow up, you know? You know, like, I take pride in fixing things. I take pride in, like, being kind of the man and having to do stuff, but it also saddens me because that kind of means that, like, my life of kind of just, like, being able to be blessed enough to have a father that would do it for me is over, you know? Because eventually you have to step into that light and be like, you know, my dad's taught me well, my dad's taught me enough that I can fix things and I can do things. But stepping into it is like transition that's like very weird, because it's like a hard pill to swallow, because it's like on one hand you're happy because you're proud of the person you're becoming, but on the other hand you feel like you're floating, you know? You don't have that safety net. You're kind of like treading water constantly, you know? You don't have somebody kind of holding you up, you know? Because like, I love the days when I was like a kid on a job site and I can mess up, or like I would install something incorrectly or like make a mistake and I just walk over to my dad, you know? Like, that is like so reassuring, and you kind of lose it, you know? Because then you feel ungrateful because you're like, some people didn't have this period, you know? But it's just, you're just so, but it's just kind of who you are as a person, because at the end of the day, like, you become a person based on kind of the environment around you, you know? So it's like constant in my head, I'm just picking and choosing, and it's like, it's exhausting. How's this fire coming along? Looks alright. It's looking pretty good. My full plan was to kind of talk about this and find out how I feel about it, because like it happened so recently, and like the whole point of this like channel is like for me to like kind of figure out how I'm feeling and like word it before I talk, you know? Because I live in my head a lot, you know? And then again, it goes back to like me trying to break the fear of being perceived, because I think the most vulnerable thing you can do is work through a solution being perceived, because they see your thought process, and you're going to be wrong a lot of the time first, because that's how you kind of find the right thing, right? Character growth, or like fixing a problem on the spot, those kind of things, like, it's difficult, you know? Especially when people are watching, you're being perceived. Like, this video is for me, but I want to get over the fear of feeling I need to be perfect or say the right thing, because you really don't, you know? You kind of just gotta say what's true to you, you know? And that has to be enough. I'm just gonna check the temperature. Okay, we're like 50 Celsius right now, so I like to get mine around like, I would say around like 80 and above is good. You know, you can get these piping hot. It's a nice, like, good stove. But yeah, I think this has just really helped me. So thank you to YouTube. Well, thank you to like people who already do this, because I saw memes all the time on Instagram of people screenshotting like channels of people doing this, and like people just ranting, and it's like the captions are hilarious, and I'm like, wow, good for her, like good for him, like that's so cool that they're doing this for themselves, you know, because it really is for them. So I'm so excited that I'm doing it. But yeah, like that was just a really weird instance yesterday of like me like being unfair to myself, and me being unfair to myself because I can't contain it is like indirectly being unfair to other people. Because like we need to remember that's everyone's first time living. Like this is my first time on planet Earth. In this body at least. Who knows reincarnation is correct. And if reincarnation is real, I'm so covered. I got a cowboy, I got a frog, I got a spider, I got a skier, I got a a lizard. I got a shark. And this shark is a whale shark with tiger features, which means I could be one or the other. And I have the sun. I just want to melt people. So reincarnation, very covered for that. But oh my god, yeah. And on the back of my leg I have a cool cat tattoo. Because I think everyone would love to be a Parisian, I think is how you say it. From Paris is a Parisian. Or I'll just say people from Paris. But I would love to be a Paris cat, like a night cat. You know, those cats that are in the window well, and they're just kind of like sonder and just like watching other people, you know, and then like they have their interactions, like just like, oh my gosh, you know, like what happened to yellow street lamps? You know, I know that like nowadays they can avoid yellow street lamps because like cameras have trouble with facial recognition or like identifying people, but yellow, that tint of yellow, like I've lived in different places, and when I lived in places that had that yellow street lamp, those are my fondest memories of being outside out night walking, because I didn't feel I was being interrogated. I feel I was being asked, you know. I didn't feel like I was walking from point A to point B. I feel like I was just walking, you know, like I didn't feel I had to explain myself to anybody. I feel like with that LED light, it's like I don't want the spotlight. I want the spotlight to be on everything but me, because I'm trying to just take in as much things as possible right now, you know? So we got to get back to that. Like, I think if I ever build a downtown square, I'm just going to make a lot of yellow street lights, because it's so important. Urban planning is so cool. I'm so mad I didn't get that as my elective at school, because urban planning is like super fascinating to me. And just like the growth of cities is super cool. Like, you have these cities that weren't necessarily designed for the sheer like adding of population, people, infrastructure and everything. And how you uniquely kind of like solve those issues is super interesting, and like it requires very creative and practical people, you know. So anybody who's an urban planner, I just think it's so cool, you know. Like, I think urban planning is like a really, really cool thing, because it's like it's dead ass flow. It's like the flow of spaces, and like how you making flow of spaces, you know, how it's so much things, you know. And it's super, super cool and very overlooked, I find, especially like in North America. You know, urban planning is not really done. Like, we live prioritizing robots and cars over us. Imagine that. We prioritize the cars over us, you know. And I saw this guy who makes videos, and he said, like, if you were an alien looking down at Earth, you would swear that cars are the ones living and they eat humans for energy. He's not wrong, especially like in North America. Like, in some maybe more walkable cities, you can tend to disagree because they've nailed public transit and like people are happy. But like, walking is like so miserable in some places, you know. It's super, super miserable because it's not designed for you. You feel like out of place. Imagine getting a dirty look from drivers when you walk on the side of a road, you know. Or drivers kind of being like, what is he doing walking there? Hello, like, people are walking here before cars were even made. And like, now I'm really comfortable making these like longer episodes too, because like I'm just gonna keep recording and just see how long it is. Basically, either until like I'm like fed up with talking, which is unlikely because I like speaking, you know. Or, you know, my sauna's ready and I don't want you guys to see me shirtless. But yeah, going back to that like, kind of whole like man thing. Like you almost emasculate yourself because you want to kind of be the man or be this or be that, to the point where you like reject people's help. But I know the strongest thing someone can do is ask for it. But then I don't let myself do that from me. So I'm sick of myself giving advice to people that I don't even follow myself. Because that is like the utmost like kind of like hideous thing. You know, like to yourself. You know, I'm my first best friend, and I'm going to always be with myself no matter where I go, you know, no matter where you go too. This doesn't change. Like your brain up here, you better be your best friend. And like I am my best friend, like to the point where I look schizophrenic. I will talk to myself and laugh. I'm hilarious. You know, don't let me start making jokes. I'll get what's it called? Shadow band? I think it's the word. Like I will get shadow banned. Yeah, look how much wood I cut. You see that? That's all from yesterday. And one of the logs that I didn't cut from that kind of batch was the one I drove up on and made this whole predicament. Yeah. But yeah, like something as small as just taking the advice others give you, or like asking for help. Not taking the advice, like take the advice you give yourself first. Because people will tell me like, oh, it's good for us to help, it's good to do this, good to do that, and I'll agree and I'll be like, this is so right, so true, but then when it comes time for me, I'm just not ready. You know? So how can I expect others to be ready, you know? Or am I trying to, because I do it, I think, from this unconscious perspective of trying to save them the pain I go through or the frustration I go through because I choose not to do it. Because it's not that I'm trying to give advice I don't think is true. I am hypocritical for not taking my own advice. But I think I say it from the perspective of I hope you don't make the same mistakes I do and get to this headspace where you don't accept it. Because I know how hard it is for me to ask for help. I don't want it to be hard for you to ask for help. So I hope that you do it, and I'll always encourage you to do it because I don't want you to get to my point. Is I think the breath that people give that kind of advice come from when they don't take it themselves. I really hope I'm making sense because like right now I'm cognitively cooking. Really happy with just like how that felt in my head. I just really hope that I articulated it properly. Because if I didn't, I'd just be really unfortunate. Because I think what I just said like really spot on, hits it on the head for me. Like I'm holding myself to a standard that's unfair, and I should just really just take the help and laugh about things. But I can't help but think about the man I want to be and not letting this happen. But the man I want to be isn't gonna get into less shit because I'm an adventurous person. I do random stuff. The man I want to be is not gonna get into less issues. The man I want to be is gonna respond to them better. You know? So while I'm getting upset about the issue isn't the problem. It's happened. Your response is everything. And that's how I failed yesterday a bit, was just with my response. It wasn't good. And I'm really happy I figured this out because, you know, like, it's just like, you want to be as fair as you can to the people you love, you know? Even when they're not looking, especially. You always want to be as fair as you can. Because to be fair is to be seen and validated. And I think everyone needs that. To be validated and to feel that you're being treated as an equal and you're being treated fairly and you're always being taken into consideration by your loved ones, you know? And I think that's where being a kid comes into play for me, because I'm super excited to be a father, but like you want to always feel like you're being considered as a child. But like when I was a child, I would feel so strongly about the smallest thing as losing a toy, and my parents would kind of just be like laughing about it a bit, or because, you know, it's not a big deal to them, but it is to you. So how as a parent do you find that balance at validating how your kid feels, but not like making them feel heard, making them feel seen and validated, but also kind of getting across like the stoicism of like, this doesn't matter, it's just an object, life goes on, you're okay. And I think the better you nail that on the head as a parent, the better your kids come out in terms of expressing how they feel. Because I feel like we all should be working towards always expressing how we feel the best way we can. Because I feel that like expression's been such a thing I've sought after and like worked for. Like I have journals, like I think I have over 6 journals now filled to the brim of just me trying to work through how I feel. And like that's how it started for me. And this is like the next step. It's kind of speaking about it, because I've written so much. I don't want to write anymore. I kind of just want to talk, because like for me, I want to get to know how I feel, but then also want to get to a point where I can defend my feelings and like talk to someone about my feelings without it coming off as defensive, or without it coming across as like, I don't know, without it coming across as like a big deal. Because feelings are a big deal, but they're not, you know? And that all depends on how you feel towards the person validating to you, but also how you feel towards how you articulate yourself. Because like I can see people sometimes progressively get more frustrated as they talk about their feelings, because they feel like they're getting more and more off track, because they don't know the right on the pin thing to say and to describe how they're feeling, you know? So like that road is so straight and narrow for how you feel, because you feel like you're doing an injustice to yourself. And then when that person tries to read what you're thinking and says the wrong thing, you feel attacked because you feel misunderstood, you know? So like learning how to, the first step of other people understanding how you feel is being able to express how you feel facially, like with your own expression. Because sometimes I have a look of disgust when really I'm just uncomfortable. Or sometimes I'm laughing, but I really am uncomfortable. So like maybe facially expressing, verbally expressing. I'm not sure if facially really matters, because for me, like, it's always good to have to be able to bluff a bit, you know? It's always good to be able to bluff a bit in life. You know, balance is just crazy. Balance is so important and so, oh my goodness, I'm just thinking about that more and more. Let me go check the temperature. Hopefully I can like stop the video. Oh, it's 60. 'Tis 60. I need to drink more water, but I'm gonna hop in there soon. I just don't know. Almost 30 minutes of this ramble going on, and I'm just blessed because I feel like almost like, because I'm seeing the time go by, I have an appreciation, because I know I've been talking this whole time and working through something. Because to me, the whole thing with social media is like the productivity part of it, right? Like I feel right now that I'm engaging with social media in a way where I'm actually being productive, because I'm learning a lot about myself right now. But not necessarily learning about myself, but like I am actually, yeah. I'm learning about how I feel. I'm learning about like being able to articulate myself, and this excites me because I'm having a conversation. And I think it's good, you know, like learning how to kind of like engage and interact with social media in a way that fulfills you. You know, because doom scrolling doesn't fulfill me. It makes me feel bad about myself. But this is like almost like social media for me. I'm gonna upload it, you know, and then like I'm gonna get to choose a caption. Like that's social media in a sense, because I'm publishing something, you know. This will be published. So I think it's just super fascinating. And you know how like earlier I was talking about, sorry, I'm just playing with clay in my hand right now. I don't know, I'm apologizing. Earlier I was like, I think yesterday was it, I was talking about like, I don't even think I talked about this. I think I recorded yesterday and I deleted it, but I talked about like the burnout a bit. But first of all, I want to all do these one take, but yesterday I was going to record another video, and then I thought to myself, like, one step at a time, I'm going to burn out. And like I can even feel it now that like this tires me in a good way, because like, if you think about it, like you go on a run after you're tired, you don't regret being tired because you know what you just did. I feel the same way about this. You know, there's some things you get tired from after, and there's like it's like a regret tired, and that's like the worst feeling, because like you just feel like violated because you just exerted precious energy, your life energy, into something that you don't reap anything from. You know, staying up watching a TV show for me is an example, because like I rather live or like go to sleep and plan the next day than sit and watch a TV show, you know. But this doesn't feel like that. Like I'm gonna be tired from talking maybe after this video, but it's not conversations that, this is not a conversation that to me is pointless. To me, this is like very valuable, and it's like priceless to me to be able to like speak about something and get better and better every video. So, because I just even look at the difference from last video. Like my first video I made, I couldn't even look at the camera, So it really just shows like improvement's a beautiful thing, because you can improve in so many like different ways in your life, you know, like and like an example of this is just that first video. I was like silent looking down, and I'm like, I procrastinated because of this, and like I was slow to talk. But I just think it's cool because it's kind of like showing like a progression. But the problem is in life is that I feel now, and I call it the skateboarding paradox. It's like you don't want to be bad at something. Because like I love skateboarding, but I don't go to skate parks because I'm scared about being like a kind of a guy on the skateboard, and like I can only do a couple tricks and I'm not that good. To me, I'm not that good because there's like an 8-year-old in some country that's like Olympic hopeful doing like a triple trafe transgender gender swap reveal switch, you know? They're doing crazy ass tricks. So you feel like you're behind a bit. You know, like the other day I saw a triple kickflip off of like a 12 stair. What the hell? You know? Like, because when, like, I think the average person watches that and thinks that's impressive. I look at that and I think that man is so resilient, because I know how many times he had to bust his ass. Not just that day to land the trick, but the period of time it took him to get that good at skateboarding. The amount of times he had to bust his ass, break his ankle, break his wrist, break his elbow to get to that point where he can land that trick. Because that trick is years in the making. And I think about that like everything. I don't see someone do anything without thinking how long it must have taken them to do that, and like how incredible that is as an achievement. You know, like that trick is years in the making, you know, and that's what's so cool about sports like skateboarding to me, is that you could just see it, like the years in the making that trick was. The clockwork it is for him now, but it wasn't 5-10 years ago. So that's like my fear. Like I think I call it the skateboarding paradox, because like we as people don't like to like have our progression looked at, but when you do sports like that, you kind of have to. It kind of comes down to like the environment of the sport. Like skateboarding to me does have like a toxic side to it, like poser, or like surfing has the kooks, or like, you know, soccer even has it. Like a lot of different sports have it. But it's like when you are an athlete and you're good at what you do, doing other things bug you a bit, because you don't want to be perceived as bad, because you know how good you are at what you're good at. You know, but you got to kind of forget about that. And that's what skateboarding did for me. Like I love skateboarding. I'm not great at it, but I'll always do it. And if someone asks if I skate, I'll say yes. But if someone asks me if they skate and they're actively holding a skateboard in their hand and it has marks from doing like a 50-50, you know, or a power slide or whatever, like you could see the wear in the wheels, or like the board have like marks from the rail, I'm gonna be like, no, not really, I don't know. Like I can kind of skate. So it's like you claim it to an extent because you're kind of like insecure at where you are in it, you know? But I think just owning it's so important, and something I need to do more, you know? I really want to get better at guitar. I learned a bit, I'm all right. I want to get better at it. But if someone with a guitar that has like the worn down marks from the strum right underneath the strings tells me, asks me to play guitar, I will say no. Because we're not anything but ourselves. I am me. You are you. You're not your profession. That's something that I really had to work on. You're not your profession. You are a human being and you have a name. Introduce yourself with that name. Introduce just yourself. I am X, Y, and Z. You know, I am this, I am that. And I love life. I used to, like, when you're young and you're passionate and you love something, you start to associate with it to the point where that becomes your identity. And that is so unhealthy. But it's like looked at as passion. You know, they're like, that's all I am, this is what I am. No, you're not. Okay? Stop. Because that's not healthy. And God forbid something happens, you're gonna go through an identity crisis. Because you should be able to walk anywhere and just be yourself and be content and happy with that. But we're not taught to. We're taught like we need like a group to belong to, but you belong to you, and you belong to who you choose to let in on yourself. Not even that. Like even that's a stretch. You know, like you belong to yourself, you know, and you don't owe anybody anything, you know. And like protect yourself, you know, really protect your inner peace and protect yourself, because you are you. You know, I used to think I was an athlete. I don't, like, people ask me if I'm an athlete now, I don't even know what I would say. I would just say I'm just a guy, and I love life, and I just love doing a bunch of stuff, you know.